Hello there, and welcome back to the Level 2 lessons for the Star Wars Unlimited Judge Program. As always, I'm your host Jonah, and this course is going to talk about large event structure. As a Level 2 judge, you may begin to work events that have hundreds, if not thousands, of players, and with dozens of judges on staff. While the rules and policies for these events are the same as they are everywhere else, the logistics can change pretty dramatically. Knowing what to expect coming into these events can be a huge boon, so this lesson is going to give you a broad overview of what you need to know to be a bit more comfortable at your first few events like sectors or regional qualifiers. This document won't be comprehensive as there are a lot of specifics that are unique to particular events and organizers. In future lessons, we're going to go over consultations and team tasks, but today we're just going to be talking about event roles. Let's start with the tournament organizer. The tournament organizer is the individual or entity that sets up the event and manages it from a high level. They're the one who set the event schedule, manages pricing, hires staff, works with the venue, all of the high level tasks that don't involve much direct interaction with the events themselves. They also deal with player concerns and have the ability to remove players from the venue. At a large event, it's not uncommon for the TO to have multiple representatives, and they'll have their own internal hierarchy. Most of the time, other than an initial briefing and receiving any compensations or gifts at the end of the show, floor judges won't have many significant interactions with the tournament organizer, except to report things that they need to know, such as bringing up unhappy players or notifying them of a significant spill. Any significant customer service concerns should go to the tournament organizer. If you're able to help resolve it before bringing the player to the tournament organizer, please do so, but it is important to then inform the tournament organizer. And if you're not confident in your ability to calm down an upset player, rather than try and force it, you can simply escort them to the tournament organizer and pass the task to an expert. Now, there are a lot of roles for judges at events. In this lesson, we're going to very broadly categorize them as floor roles and stage roles. Floor roles include those where the individual is generally expected to be out on the floor, taking calls, handling their usual tasks, and very proactively engaging with players and other judges. Stage roles, however, often find the individual assigned to a specific area, often on the stage. Sometimes the stage is an actual elevated platform, but more often it's an area blocked off with tables and curtains to denote a specific space. Stage roles are critical because they make the tournament work, handling a lot of logistics. Furthermore, they're not moving around, so players can find them for customer service concerns, and there are usually several of them in the same space, so they can quickly and easily consult for high-impact decisions. Moving on to the floor roles, the head judge is the first one we're going to talk about and the final authority for the event that they are the head judge of. For many multi-tournament weekends, each event has its own head judge. The head judge is responsible for developing a staff schedule for their event if they have many judges, and potentially some other pre-event work. Of course, they're also the one who handles the morning briefing for their events team to get everyone started. They're also responsible for handling appeals, cheating investigations, and other major incidents. They communicate directly with the tournament organizer about their needs and delegate tasks through their team leads. Assistant head judges, also known as support judges or appeals judges, are there to support the head judge. While they may provide their insight and opinion on the staff schedule or other pre-event work, it's not an expectation of the role. Their job is to ease the load of the head judge by helping with appeals and investigations. Generally, you start to see an assistant head judge at about 400 to 500 players, and then see additional assistant head judges every 500 or so players beyond that. Now, this means that an event with about 1,200 players would likely have a head judge team of 3 to 5 members. Prestigious events are also more likely to have more assistant head judges just for that added layer of security and efficiency. Team leads are usually roles assigned by the head judge for internal use in the event. They're assigned a task to manage on a particular tournament and a team of judges to lead. They may send out an email or other communication leading up to the event, giving instructions to their team regarding the task, and will also be responsible for briefing the overall event staff with regard to event specifics for their task in the morning. For example, if they want all judges to participate in distributing goodies, or how they want deck lists and to be collected, and around time extensions to be handled, that sort of thing. Other than that, team leads are frequently among the most experienced judges on staff for an event and will often be used as reference for consultations. Team leads mentor and guide their team, ensure that they have a good time, and ensure that their task is completed efficiently. They communicate with the floor judges on their team extensively, as well as regularly checking in with the other team leads to see if there are tasks that they can help with, and check in with the head judges for feedback on their tasks and to provide updates. A point person for a task is someone who's in charge of managing a task like a team lead, but doesn't have a dedicated team to assist them with it. Sometimes this is because the task is relatively small and so can be accomplished by an individual. Other times it's because the event staff is relatively small, and while there are enough folks on staff to cover all of the tasks, there aren't enough to have full dedicated teams for each task. A point person's job is to make sure that their task is completed, oftentimes by doing it themselves, but equally frequently by delegating it or recruiting assistance from other judges on the event. Task point roles are often used as a stepping stone to team leading. Side events at larger tournaments can involve a complex schedule and many judges. I've seen schedules with upwards of 20 to 30 events. The side events lead is entrusted with choreographing that experience for judges, while they'll assign individuals as head judges to specific events, and that judge will be responsible for the smooth progression and logistics of their specific event. If they have appeals or investigations, those are frequently escalated to the sides lead, and certainly not to the head judge of the main event. Sides lead can sometimes be broken down into a few different roles, including scheduled sides lead, on-demand lead, and competitive sides lead, each responsible for only a small slice of the side event's pie, rather than the whole thing. In these cases, the various sides leads coordinate with each other and with a TO representative to make optimal use of the space and ensure the smooth progression of their many events. Sides leading is a logistics-first role, balancing the needs of many simultaneous events, ensuring that they have adequate judge coverage and that the judges on staff are having their needs met as well. Sides leads very infrequently are on the floor answering questions from players, and so there isn't an expectation as much of having the level of rules and policy we would have for a head judge at a similar scale. This makes sides leading a great choice for team leads who want to take the next step to head judging and are secure in their objective skills, rules and policy knowledge, but still need to develop their subjective skills, leadership, mentorship, logistics, self-evaluation, stress management, and more. Sides leading allows them to focus on a smaller subset of skills without getting distracted by rules and policy questions. Finally, last but certainly not least, floor judges are the pillars that hold up their entire event. They're assigned specific tasks and teams and handle those responsibilities, whether they be logistics, answering calls, or something else. Floor judges may be assigned to the main event, which is what the headlining event is frequently called, sector qualifiers, regional qualifiers, Galactic Championship, etc., or to side events, which is everything else in the hall, and very frequently is more players than the main event. This can also include competitive events with hundreds of players, or a flex role where they move from one event to another. Floor judges, and in fact most roles, generally have one role throughout an entire day. Judges frequently aren't scheduled to move between main event and side events or between scheduled events and on-demands within the same day. However, sometimes attendance predictions misallocate judges, and so judges may be moved dynamically. Furthermore, as a floor judge, you may be assigned to one section of the event one day and a drastically different responsibility for the next. That's it for the floor roles. Let's talk about the admin roles for a second. As mentioned above, these roles have fewer judge calls, practically none, and consequently don't require as much rules or policy knowledge, generally speaking. However, familiarity with the game is key as it helps you better communicate with any players who may have questions. And oh boy, will players have questions. Furthermore, admin roles are frequently roles that require a high degree of trust between the TO and the individual that they are hiring. Scorekeepers can cause catastrophic damage to event integrity if they don't know what they're doing. Registration handles cash transactions, and prize wall and back of house both have access to significant quantities of product being moved around. Let's dive into the roles though. Information desk, info desk, customer service, one of many names. It's a catch-all term for a common admin role. Many players don't read posted signs or the website or the event description, and so ask questions about event schedule, pricing, and sundry other things. This role is very frequently part of all stage and admin staff's expectations because if you're sitting at the stage, you look important, and somebody's going to ask you a question, so you should be prepared with knowledge. Scorekeepers at large events are relatively stationary. They stay near the computer or device running the scorekeeper software and ensure that rounds turn over smoothly. Their key priorities involve creating new rounds, adjusting erroneous match results, and handling any issues that may crop up with the scorekeeping software. The scorekeeper is sometimes a representative of the TO or the TO themselves, but can also be a contractor on staff, including judges. Registration staff will handle players and getting them registered for events. They receive payment and ensure that the player is enrolled in the correct event, and then pass that information on to scorekeepers so that the events can launch. Registration, more so than other roles, act as information and customer service because they are frequently the front line and the first person that players see. They let players know about event structure and pricing. This is also often a TO representative or overseen by a TO representative, but equally often they hire someone to take on the role directly from external to the organization. Prize wall is a task that is busiest toward the end of the weekend, but slow for the first 50 to 75% of a weekend. At large tournaments, instead of receiving specific prizes or individual booster packs for events, players earn prize tickets, which they can redeem at a prize wall. This allows the player to select exactly what prizes appeal to them. If they want packs, they can get packs. If they want accessories, they can get accessories, from playmats to sleeves, deck boxes, dice, tokens, counters, promos, all sorts of things. Working the prize wall is a very high energy shift. You're almost constantly interacting with players who have many questions about the prizes, and keeping up a buoyant present can be tiring for some. However, you also have the boon of interacting with players when they're at their happiest, collecting their winnings. The last admin role is back of house. This is a little bit different from the other admin roles, as the individual isn't tied down to just the stage or to just the prize wall. The responsibilities of back of house vary depending on the event, but it's a logistical role that doesn't entail floor judging. Tasks can include preparing product for goodie distribution and, for limited events, ensuring that a prize wall gets product as necessary, judges get product, moving tables and chairs if the floor plan needs to be adjusted, coordinating with the venue in case there's a spill or for a variety of other tasks. It's a very independent and proactive role, usually held by a long-time tournament expert or a representative of the tournament organizer. As you may have noticed, a lot of these roles are held by the tournament organizer, but it's also very possible to be a floor judge and have some of these responsibilities. Furthermore, having one of these roles doesn't preclude you from having others. However, as your events grow in scale and scope, it's important to ensure that you're able to devote your attention to your primary responsibility, and having multiple tasks will likely lead to a worse player experience. Okay, that's a fair amount of content, and we haven't even begun to discuss the teams and consultation procedures, which will come in the next couple of lessons. If you're watching this on YouTube and you want more level 2 lessons in your feed, go ahead and subscribe. Join us Tuesdays and Fridays on twitch.tv/SWU_judges for live broadcasts covering the content of these lessons as they are released, and join the Star Wars Unlimited Judge Program Discord to join the community discussion of this and much, much more. As always, good luck and have fun.